The final confrontation came 3 months after the Battle of Terra's Gate. Empress Shirakal refused to accept reality. From her prison cell on a neutral station, she had sent secret messages to loyalist forces. She had called for one last stand, one final attack. Amazingly, some answered her call. 200,000 ships appeared at the edge of the Sol system. They had scraped together everything they could find. Old warships pulled from museums. Civilian vessels armed with whatever weapons could be mounted on them. Even a few ancient colony ships 200 years old fitted with missile launchers. It was the desperate last gasp of a dying empire. Many of the crews were conscripts who had been forced to fight. Others were true believers who still thought the empire could win. Most were just scared people who didn't know what else to do. High Marshal Vorquan, now working with humanity, sent a message when he heard the news. "Don't destroy them," he begged. "Many of those ships are crewed by slaves and conscripts. They're not fighting because they want to. They're fighting because they have no choice." The Unified Defense Council met in emergency session. They had hoped this was over. They had hoped no more would need to die. Admiral Reeves received her orders and read them carefully. Then she smiled. It was a sad smile, but a smile nonetheless. The makeshift Imperial fleet jumped into the Sol system. They expected to find Earth lightly defended. After all, hadn't humanity sent most of its forces away after the last battle? Instead, they found 50,000 human dreadnoughts waiting. And behind them, revealed for the first time, was Earth Fleet. No one in the galaxy had ever seen Earth Fleet. It had never left the Sol system in the entire history of human space travel. It existed for one purpose only: to defend humanity's home world. There were 500,000 ships in Earth Fleet. Massive capital ships, each one capable of destroying a small moon. Carriers with so many fighters they could blot out the stars. Defense platforms that could reach across the solar system with their weapons. And in the center, orbiting Earth itself, was something the Empire had never seen before: a ring. A massive orbital ring encircling the entire planet. It was covered in weapons, thousands of them, millions of them. Each one pointed outward at the stars. The Imperial fleet's sensors screamed warnings. They were completely outmatched. Utterly doomed, Admiral Reeves broadcast on all channels. Every ship in the Imperial fleet received her message. Every language was included in the transmission. "Attention all vessels," she said. "This is Admiral Chen Reeves of the Unified Defense Fleet. We know many of you were forced to come here. We know many of you don't want to fight. We are giving you a choice," the message continued. "Power down your weapons. Signal your surrender. We will not harm you. We will feed you, give you medical care, and help you return to your homes. Your war is over. You don't need to die for an empress who doesn't care about you." Silence filled the void of space. The Imperial fleet didn't move. They didn't fire. They just waited. Then one ship powered down its weapons. Then another. Then 10 more. Then 100. Then thousands, but some ships didn't surrender. The true believers, the ones who thought this was a holy crusade, kept their weapons active. Their commanders screamed for others to keep fighting. When threats didn't work, they opened fire on ships that were trying to surrender. Admiral Reeves made a decision. "All ships, you are authorized to defend the surrendering vessels. Eliminate any ship that fires on those trying to surrender. Precision strikes only. Try to save the crews if possible." What followed was the strangest battle in military history. Human ships protected Imperial vessels that were trying to give up. They destroyed the weapon systems of ships still fighting, then used tractor beams to pull them away from the fleet. Medical shuttles rushed to ships that were damaged, saving crews even from vessels that had just been shooting at them. The fanatics who refused to stop were dealt with efficiently. Their ships were disabled, their weapons destroyed, their crews taken prisoner. Not a single ship was completely destroyed unless it was absolutely necessary. In 43 minutes it was over. The last Imperial fleet had surrendered or been captured. The war was truly finished. Empress Shirakal was brought before the Galactic Council to face trial. The charges were long and terrible. War crimes, genocide, crimes against sentient beings, the enslavement of entire species. High Marshal Vorquan testified against her. So did hundreds of others. Even some of her own former officers spoke about the atrocities she had ordered. She was found guilty on all charges. The sentence was life imprisonment on a remote station where she could harm no one. Some wanted her executed, but humanity argued against it. "If we kill her, we become like her," Ambassador Okonkwo said. We become people who solve problems with death. That's not who we are. That's not who we want to be. The vote was close, but mercy won. With the Empress removed, Vorquan became the interim leader of what remained of the Crithian Empire. But he didn't want to be emperor. Working with humanity and the Galactic Council, he began the process of dissolving the empire entirely. Every tributary species was given a choice. Stay or leave, be free or remain allied, choose their own government or accept help building a new one. Almost all chose independence. The empire that had lasted 12,000 years ceased to exist in less than a year. The galaxy entered a period of rapid change. New governments formed. Old alliances broke apart. Species that had been enemies for centuries suddenly found themselves as neighbors with no one forcing them to fight. And through it all, humanity quietly worked to help. They sent engineers to rebuild destroyed worlds. They sent teachers to help new governments learn how to function. They sent food and medicine to those who needed it, but they also sent a message. The full truth about their strength was finally revealed. The Secretary General of Unified Humanity made a speech that was broadcast across the entire galaxy. She was an older woman with gray hair and kind eyes. She spoke in a gentle voice, but her words carried weight. For the last 2 years, she said, we have been at war. A war we did not want. A war we tried desperately to avoid. We showed mercy to our enemies. We gave them chance after chance to choose peace. They saw our mercy as weakness. They were wrong. She paused, letting that sink in. The truth is this. Humanity has 890 billion people across 847 colonized systems. We have 2.3 million active warships. In this entire war, we committed less than 1% of our forces. Our Earth fleet, which defended our homeworld, never fired a shot. Our newest weapons were never deployed. Our full military might was never unleashed. Another pause. The galaxy listened in stunned silence. We held back, she continued. Not because we were weak, but because we are strong. True strength is not the ability to destroy. True strength is the choice not to destroy when you can. We could have wiped out the Crithian Empire on the first day of the war. We chose not to. We wanted them to surrender, not to annihilate them. Because we believe every life has value, even the lives of those who attack us. Her expression became more serious. But let this be a lesson to anyone watching. We gave the Empire every chance to stop. We begged them to see reason. They chose war over peace, pride over wisdom, and cruelty over mercy. They paid the price. She looked directly into the camera. Humanity wants peace. We want friendship. We want to explore the galaxy and learn from other species. We want to trade and share knowledge. We want to help those who need it. But if you force us to fight, if you attack our innocent people, if you mistake our kindness for weakness, you will learn that we are the most dangerous species in the galaxy, precisely because we choose not to be. The speech ended. The galaxy processed her words. Some were frightened. Some were relieved. Some were inspired. But everyone understood. Humanity was not to be trifled with. The Galactic Council restructured itself based on humanity's suggestions. Instead of being controlled by a few powerful species, every species got a vote. Instead of might making right, laws protected the weak. Instead of empires ruling over tributaries, everyone was equal. It wasn't perfect. There were still arguments and disagreements. But it was better. Much better. Humanity was offered a permanent seat on the council and a position of leadership. They accepted the seat but declined the leadership position. We don't want to rule anyone, the Secretary General explained. We just want to make sure everyone's voice is heard. Let the galaxy govern itself. We'll be here if you need us, but we're not your masters. 5 years after the war ended, Admiral Chen Reeves retired. She moved to a small house on Earth near the ocean. She spent her days gardening and reading. She was 70 years old and tired. One day, a young officer in a crisp uniform came to visit her. He was fresh from the academy, eager and full of questions. Admiral Reeves, he said respectfully, I'm studying the war at the academy. I have a question that's been bothering me. Ask, Reeves said, not looking up from her tomato plants. Why did we hold back so much? We could have ended the war in days. We had the power to crush them immediately. Why drag it out for 18 months? Why let them kill 4 million of our people at New Horizon? Why show them mercy over and over? Reeves stood up slowly, brushing dirt from her hands. She looked at the young officer with eyes that had seen too much death. 18 months after the war began, the combined Crithian Zephyros armada gathered at the edge of human space. 120,000 warships. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Ships from 100 worlds, weapons from 1,000 factories, all aimed at one target: humanity. Empress Shirakal stood on the bridge of her personal dreadnought, the pride of empire. Around her, holographic displays showed the vast fleet. She felt proud and powerful. Today, she announced to her commanders, we end this war. Today we show these primitive humans what true power means. Today, we crush them so completely that every species in the galaxy will remember never to defy us again. Her commanders cheered. High Marshal Vorquan did not cheer. He stood quietly in the corner, watching the displays and feeling a deep sense of dread. The Armada jumped into human space, specifically targeting the Orion Arm region. This was the heart of human territory, where most of their colonies were located. Intelligence suggested this was where their main fleet bases were hidden. When they arrived, they found Admiral Chen Reeves waiting for them. Her fleet had 4,000 ships. Against 120,000, Empress Shirakal laughed when she saw the numbers. 4,000. Is this a joke? Is this all they have left? Vorquan studied the display carefully. Something was wrong. The human ships were spread out in a strange formation. Behind them, the sensors showed nothing but empty space. But the readings were fuzzy, unclear, as if something was blocking the sensors. Admiral Reeves opened a channel to the entire Imperial Armada. Her face appeared on every screen in every ship. She looked tired, sad, but also determined. This is Admiral Chen Reeves of the Unified Defense Fleet, she said. This is your final warning. We have held back out of mercy, hoping you would see reason. We have tried peace. We have tried negotiation. We have tried showing you that we are not your enemy. You have mistaken our restraint for weakness. You have attacked our civilians. You have forced your own people to die for your pride. No more, Empress Shirakal sneered. Final warning? You have 4,000 ships. We have 120,000. Surrender now and I will allow some of you to live as slaves. Admiral Reeves looked directly at the Empress. You still don't understand. You've been fighting 3 of our colonies for 18 months. We have 847 colonies. You faced our border patrol and local defense militias. You haven't met our actual military yet. She paused, then said quietly, You wanted to see humanity at war. Fine. We'll show you. She closed the channel and gave a single order. Drop the veil. Across the Orion Arm, the jamming fields that had been hiding human space for months suddenly deactivated. Imperial sensors, suddenly able to see clearly, registered what was waiting behind Admiral Reeves's small fleet. 50,000 human warships. Massive dreadnoughts. Carriers larger than space stations. Weapons platforms that dwarfed anything the Empire had ever built. And in the distance, barely visible on the edge of sensor range, energy signatures of thousands more. The bridge of the Pride of Empire went silent. Officers stared at their displays, rechecking the numbers. It had to be a mistake. It had to be false sensor data. It couldn't be real, but it was real. High Marshal Vorquan closed his eyes. We are finished, he whispered. The Battle of Terra's Gate began. Empress Shirakal, too proud to retreat even now, ordered the attack. 120,000 ships surged forward. The human response was devastating. Weapons platforms hidden on asteroids and small moons opened fire. Beams of energy that could crack planets lanced through the Imperial formation. Each shot destroyed multiple ships. Human missiles appeared from nowhere, moving faster than anything the Empire had ever seen. They used short-range FTL jumps to appear right next to Imperial vessels before exploding. There was no defense against them. The human fleet advanced in perfect coordination. Each ship seemed to know exactly where every other ship was and what they were doing. It was like fighting one creature with 50,000 arms instead of 50,000 individual ships. Imperial ships exploded by the hundreds, then by the thousands. The Empire's superior numbers meant nothing. They were fighting in a way they had never trained for, against weapons they had never imagined, using tactics they couldn't predict. And then the Harbinger-class vessels fired. Each Harbinger carried a weapon. The humans called a stellar lance. It was a focused beam of energy that could penetrate any shield, pass through any armor, and destroy anything in its path. When a Harbinger fired, a straight line of Imperial ships simply ceased to exist, vaporized instantly. 20 Harbingers fired into the Imperial formation. 20 lines of death cut through the fleet. Thousands of ships gone in seconds. Retreat! Someone screamed on the Imperial command channel. Fall back! But there was nowhere to fall back to. Human ships appeared behind them, cutting off escape routes. They were surrounded. High Marshal Vorquan from his station sent an emergency broadcast. All Imperial ships surrender immediately. Power down your weapons! This is a direct order from High Marshal Vorquan. Many ships obeyed. They had seen enough. They wanted to live, but many others, either too proud or too frightened to stop, kept fighting. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, 85,000 Imperial and Zephyr ships were destroyed. 30,000 had surrendered. Only 5,000 managed to escape. The human fleet lost 900 ships. Empress Shirikal was pulled from the wreckage of the Pride of Empire by human rescue teams. She was injured but alive. They could have let her die, but they saved her instead. High Marshal Vorquan was also captured. Unlike the Empress, he surrendered willingly. When human soldiers came to take him, he bowed to them. I wish to speak with your leaders, he said. I have information they need to know. They brought him to a conference room on a human military station. Around a table sat the leaders of humanity's Unified Defense Council. Admiral Reeves was there too. Vorquan bowed to them. I am High Marshal Vorquan of the Crithian Empire. I wish to defect. I wish to help you end this war before more die. The chairman of the council studied him. Why would we trust you? Because I have known from the beginning that we could not win, Vorquan said. I tried to warn my empress. She would not listen. Now I will show you why you terrify me. He activated a holographic display. It showed data he had collected over 18 months of war. You have 847 colonized systems, he began. In this war, you have committed forces from only 10 of them. Your total active military is approximately 2.3 million warships. You have used 12,000. That is 0.5% of your actual strength. He pulled up more data. Your Earth Force, the military unit that defends your home world, has never left the Sol system. Everything we have fought so far was colonial defense militias and local fleets. Your main military hasn't even deployed yet. The human leaders said nothing, but their faces confirmed the truth. Vorquan continued. Your population is 890 billion across hundreds of worlds. You have a manufacturing capacity that exceeds the entire empire. You can build 100 warships in the time it takes us to build one. Your technology is in most areas decades ahead of ours. You have artificial intelligence that can think faster than any living being. You have weapons we cannot counter. He looked at each of them. But what terrifies me most is this. The weapons you used against us are not your newest technology. They are surplus equipment, outdated systems. You were fighting us with old weapons while you built new ones. He pulled up the final piece of data. And you did all of this while trying to make peace. While begging us to stop. While showing us mercy at every turn. You evacuated civilians before battles. You took prisoners instead of killing us. You disabled our ships instead of destroying them. You gave us chance after chance to surrender. Vorquan sat down heavily. That is why I am here. Because an empire that fights with mercy is more dangerous than one that fights with cruelty. Because if you ever stop holding back, nothing in this galaxy could stop you. The room was quiet for a long moment. Then Admiral Reeves spoke. What happens now? The Empress will never surrender. She will, Vorquan said. Or you will remove her and speak with someone who will. The Empire is broken. Our fleets are destroyed. Our tributary species are in open rebellion. Half our colonies are asking to join humanity instead. We have nothing left. He looked at the chairman. Please accept our surrender. Let me help you bring peace. I will testify against the Empress for war crimes. I will help you restructure our government. I will do whatever it takes. Just please, no more killing. The chairman looked at his fellow council members. They nodded one by one. We accept, the chairman said. But know this, Marshal. We will not let the Empire continue as it was. Your tributary species will be freed. Your Empress will face trial. Your government will be rebuilt from the ground up. Can you accept that? Vorquan bowed his head. Yes. It is more mercy than we deserve. News of the Battle of Terra's Gate spread across the galaxy within days. The two most powerful empires in the galaxy had thrown everything at humanity and been crushed in hours. 20 more species requested to join humanity's alliance. 15 former imperial colonies declared independence and asked for human protection. 1 year had passed since the war began. The Crithian Empire had lost 12,000 warships. Humanity had lost 340. The math was becoming impossible to ignore. 3 client species of the Empire openly rebelled. They declared themselves neutral and begged humanity not to attack them. Human ambassadors quickly sent messages back. "We have no quarrel with you. You are free." This made Empress Shirakaal even more angry. She issued a decree. Every species under Imperial control must send ships to fight the humans. Every tributary world must build weapons. Anyone who refused would be punished. High Marshal Vorquan tried one more time to reason with her. "My Empress, we have lost every battle. The humans are too strong." "Perhaps enough." The Empress's voice echoed through the throne room. "I will not hear the word peace again. These humans have embarrassed us in front of the entire galaxy. They must be destroyed no matter the cost." Vorquan bowed and left. He had done all he could. Now he would follow his orders, even if he knew they would lead to disaster. The Empire assembled 45,000 warships. It was the largest fleet ever created in galactic history. Ships from 100 different species all forced to fight together. Some wanted to fight. Most did not. But the Empire gave them no choice. The fleet was sent to attack human territory. Their target was the New Horizon colony in the Barnard star system. Intelligence said it was an agricultural world with minimal defenses. The intelligence was correct. New Horizon had only 20 defense platforms and 5 patrol ships. It was home to 4 million farmers, scientists, and their families. They grew food for other human colonies. They had no military bases, no weapons factories, nothing of strategic value. When the Imperial fleet arrived, the colony's governor sent a desperate message to Admiral Reeves. "We can't hold them. We're evacuating as many people as we can, but there's not enough time." Admiral Reeves was 3 days away with her fleet. 3 days too far. She watched helplessly as the battle began. The 20 defense platforms fought bravely. They destroyed 8 Imperial ships before being wiped out. The 5 patrol ships rammed enemy vessels, taking 6 more down with them. Then there was nothing left to stop the Empire. The Imperial fleet commander had his orders. Make an example. Show the galaxy what happens when you defy the Empire. Orbital bombardment began. Particle beams struck cities. Kinetic weapons hit agricultural centers. Missiles destroyed spaceports where civilians were trying to evacuate. 4 million people died in 6 hours. The Empire broadcast the footage across the galaxy. They wanted everyone to see. They wanted everyone to be afraid. Instead, they created something else. They woke something up in humanity that had been sleeping. When Admiral Reeves heard the news, she stood motionless on her bridge for a full minute. Her crew waited in silence. Finally, she spoke, her voice cold and flat. "Send a priority message to Earth. New Horizon has fallen. 4 million civilians are dead. Request authorization for Operation Reckoning." Her tactical officer looked confused. "Ma'am, what's Operation Reckoning?" "Something we hoped we'd never have to use," Reeves said quietly. On Earth, the Unified Defense Council met in emergency session. The footage from New Horizon played on every screen. 4 million dead. Not soldiers, not military personnel. Farmers, teachers, children. Ambassador Okonkwo watched the footage with tears streaming down her face. "We tried," she whispered. "We tried so hard to avoid this." The chairman of the council stood up. His face was grim. "They have crossed a line. They have attacked civilians deliberately. They have shown us they will not stop until we are all dead or enslaved." He looked around the room at the faces of humanity's leaders. "I call for a vote. Do we authorize Operation Reckoning?" Every hand went up. Every single one. "Then it is decided," the chairman said. "Send the message to all fleets. Show them what we have been holding back." The response from humanity was not immediate. For 3 days there was only silence. The Empire celebrated their victory. Some of their client species quietly prepared to switch sides, disgusted by what they had witnessed. Then on the 4th day, humanity struck. 15 Imperial military installations across 3 sectors were hit simultaneously. These weren't colonies or civilian targets. They were shipyards, weapons depots, fleet bases, and command centers. The attacks came without warning. One moment everything was normal. The next moment, fleets of human warships appeared out of faster-than-light travel right on top of their targets. But these were not the same ships the Empire had been fighting. These were different, bigger, more powerful, more terrifying. The first ship to be reported was over a kilometer long. Witnesses called it a dreadnought. Its weapons could destroy a standard Imperial warship with a single shot. Its shields could absorb firepower that would level a city, and humanity had brought dozens of them. Base Commander Threx watched in horror as 3 human dreadnoughts approached his shipyard. He had 100 warships defending the facility. He felt confident. Then the dreadnoughts opened fire. Beams of pure energy sliced through his ships like they were made of paper. Missiles tracked and hit targets with impossible precision. Something that looked like a small sun appeared and vaporized 10 ships at once. The battle lasted 14 minutes. When it was over, the shipyard was destroyed. Every defending ship was gone and the dreadnoughts jumped away without a scratch. This same scene repeated at 15 different locations. In 72 hours, the Empire lost 8,000 ships and 15 major military facilities. Humanity lost 43 ships. The galaxy watched in shock. These humans had been holding back even more than anyone thought. High Marshal Vorquan sat in his office reviewing the battle reports. His hands shook as he read them. These human dreadnoughts were unlike anything the Empire had ever faced. And according to captured footage, humans had been building them for years. He accessed the intelligence database again. How many colonies had sent ships this time? Still only 3. Sol, Alpha Centauri, and Tau Ceti, the same 3 as before. 27 human colonies had still not committed their forces to the war. Vorquan felt ice in his stomach. If 3 colonies could do this, what could 30 colonies do? He pulled up human ship production data. The numbers made him feel sick. Humanity was building 200 warships per month. The Empire was building 40, and humans had not activated a military draft. They were fighting this war with volunteers only. The Zephyros Collective contacted the Empire. They were the second most powerful civilization in the galaxy. "We have seen what these humans can do," their ambassador said. "We offer our assistance. Together we can defeat them." Empress Shirakal accepted immediately. She didn't care that it made her look weak. She wanted the humans dead, but even as the 2 empires formed an alliance, others were quietly pulling away. 20 client species sent secret messages to humanity. "We will not fight you. Please remember we had no choice. We are not your enemy." Humanity responded to each message the same way. "We know, we will remember. When this is over, you will be free." Ambassador Okonkwo resigned from her position. She sent a final message to the Empire, broadcast openly on all channels. "I tried to save you," she said, her voice tired and sad. "I begged you to stop. I offered you peace, trade, friendship. Everything you wanted we would have given you. If you had only asked instead of demanded, you could have had allies. Instead, you made enemies. I hope your pride was worth it. I hope the millions of dead were worth it. Because now you will learn what humanity becomes when you take away all other choices." She ended the transmission and left her office. She had done all she could do. Now it was up to the military. Admiral Reeves received new orders from Earth. She read them 3 times to make sure she understood. "Admiral, what do the orders say?" her tactical officer asked. Reeves looked up at him. "They say to prepare for a major offensive. New ships are arriving from 7 more colonies. Our fleet is being tripled in size and—" She paused, her finger hovering over one line in the orders. "And what, ma'am?" "And we're being issued Harbinger-class vessels. I've never even seen one before. According to this, each Harbinger can destroy a moon." The tactical officer went pale. "Why would we ever need to destroy a moon?" "We wouldn't," Reeves said quietly. "That's the point. They're not weapons of war. They're weapons of terror. They're meant to make the enemy surrender without fighting. Will it work?" Reeves looked at her display showing the positions of enemy fleets. The Krithian-Zephyros alliance had assembled 120,000 ships. They were preparing for a final massive assault on human space. "I don't know," she said honestly, "but we're about to find out." On a secret human shipyard hidden in the Sirius system, workers watched as massive vessels were prepared for launch. Each one was 5 kilometers long. Each one carried weapons that most species would consider war crimes. The foreman looked at his crew. "Is this really necessary?" someone asked. "Can't we win without these?" The foreman shook his head. "The High Command says we're preparing for the worst. The Empire has shown they'll kill civilians. They've shown they'll never stop. So we have to show them something that will make them stop. But these weapons, I know," the foreman said. "I know. But better they exist and we never use them than need them and not have them. That's what humans do. We hope for the best. 6 months passed after the Battle of Luna. The galaxy was talking. Word spread fast about how a primitive species had destroyed an Imperial punishment fleet. Some species were excited. Others were terrified. Most were simply curious. The Krithian Empire tried to control the story. They said the humans had used illegal weapons. They said it was a lucky ambush. They said 500 ships was just a small patrol, nothing important. But everyone knew the truth. The Empire had lost, and they were angry about it. High Marshal Vorkwan prepared the sector fleet. 5,000 warships, 200 support vessels, nearly 3 million soldiers and crew. It was one of the largest military formations in Imperial history. Empress Shirakal inspected the fleet personally. Her golden armor shined under the lights of the massive hangar. "This time there will be no mistakes," she announced. "We will show these humans what real power looks like." The fleet commanders cheered. Vorkwan did not cheer. He had been studying everything they knew about humans. The more he learned, the more worried he became. Humans had 30 colonized star systems. But the Empire's spies could only confirm military bases in 3 of them. Where were the others? What were they hiding? Ambassador Dr. Sarah Okonkwo stood in the observation deck of the diplomatic vessel Olive Branch. She was heading toward the nearest Imperial planet, hoping to talk before the fleet arrived at human space. "They're not responding to our messages," her communications officer said. Okonkwo sighed. "Keep trying. Someone has to be willing to listen." Behind her, a young diplomat named Marcus spoke up. "Ambassador, why are we trying so hard? They attacked us first, we won. We have the right to defend ourselves." "Because war should always be the last choice," Okonkwo said. "Because once it really starts, millions of innocent people die. Because I still believe we can make them understand." Marcus nodded but didn't look convinced. The Imperial Sector Fleet jumped into the Proxima Centauri system. This was humanity's second colony after Earth. It had 2 habitable planets and several mining stations. Intelligence said it was lightly defended. Admiral Chen Reeves was waiting for them. The Sol Defense Fleet had been reinforced with ships from Alpha Centauri and Tau Ceti. She now commanded 800 vessels. Against 5,000. "All ships, this is Admiral Reeves," she broadcast on all channels. "Weapons ready, but hold fire. Let me talk to them first." She opened a channel to the Imperial fleet. The face of Fleet Commander Zareth appeared on her screen. He was a tall alien with purple scales and too many teeth. "I am Admiral Chen Reeves of the Unified Defense Fleet," she said calmly. "You are entering human space without permission. We ask you to turn back. We don't want to fight you." Zareth made a sound like grinding stones. It might have been laughter. "You don't want to fight? Good. Then surrender. Give us your planets, your resources, your people. The Empress has been generous. She will let you live if you obey." Admiral Reeves looked at him for a long moment. "I don't think you understand. We're trying to help you. Turn back now. This is your last chance to retreat with honor." "Honor?" Zareth sneered. "You destroyed 1 fleet and think you can threaten the Empire? Attack!" He cut the transmission. 5,000 Imperial warships opened fire. The space between the planets lit up with weapons fire. Missiles, lasers, plasma bolts, everything the Empire had. Admiral Reeves watched the display. "All ships, defensive formation Delta. Show them what we can do. But remember, disable, don't destroy. We're still trying to make a point, not commit genocide." What happened next would be studied in military academies for the next 100 years. The human ships moved like they were dancing. They dodged and weaved through the weapons fire. Their shields absorbed hits that should have destroyed them. Their own weapons struck with surgical precision. Each human ship targeted the engines and weapons of multiple Imperial vessels. Lasers cut through shield generators. Missiles destroyed weapon emplacements. Electromagnetic pulses fried navigation systems. Imperial ships stopped fighting without being destroyed. They just went dead in space, powerless and helpless. Fleet Commander Zareth couldn't believe what he was seeing. His 5,000 ships were being taken apart by 800. How is this possible? "All ships concentrate fire on their flagship," he ordered. If he could kill their admiral, maybe the humans would fall apart. 200 Imperial ships focused everything on Admiral Reeves's vessel, the UDFS Washington. The shields lit up like a small sun. Shield strength at 40%, her tactical officer reported. "Hold position," Reeves ordered calmly. "Wait for it." The shields dropped to 20%. 10%. 5% now, Reeves said. The Washington activated its point defense system. Thousands of small lasers created a web of light around the ship. Every missile was destroyed. Every plasma bolt was deflected. Then the Washington fired back. A single massive railgun round struck Zareth's flagship. It punched through the bow, traveled the entire length of the ship, and exited through the stern. It didn't explode. It didn't need to. The kinetic force alone shattered the vessel into 3 pieces. Zareth survived only because his command chair was designed to become an escape pod. As he drifted in space watching his fleet fall apart, he finally understood. The humans were not trying to kill them. Every shot was carefully aimed. Every weapon was precisely calibrated. They were trying to disable, not destroy. They were still showing mercy. After 4 hours of battle, 3,000 Imperial ships were disabled and drifting. 1,000 had been destroyed when they refused to stop fighting. 1,000 had retreated in disorder. Admiral Reeves broadcast a message to all the disabled ships. "This is Admiral Reeves. We will not harm your survivors. Medical ships are on their way to help you. We will return you to your empire. Take this message back. We don't want war. We want peace. Please don't make us do this again." High Marshal Vorquan received the survivors 2 weeks later. He personally interviewed Fleet Commander Zareth. The once proud officer was broken. "They were playing with us," Zareth said quietly. "I had 5,000 ships. They had 800, but it felt like fighting 5,000 of them with only 800 of mine. Their weapons, their tactics, their coordination. Marshal, we never had a chance," Vorquan nodded. He had watched the battle recordings. He noticed something else too. How many star systems did they bring ships from? Zareth checked his report. 3, Sol Alpha Centauri and Tau Ceti. "Only 3, Vorquan said quietly. "They have 30 colonies. Where are the other 27? That night, Vorquan went to the Empress with a proposal. "My Empress, I suggest we negotiate peace. These humans are more dangerous than we thought. They defeated our sector fleet with less than 1/5 our numbers." Empress Shirakal threw a ceremonial sword at him. It missed by inches. "Negotiate? With primitives? Never. The problem is we're underestimating them. So we won't anymore. Summon all the sector fleets. Call in our tributary species. Assemble everything we have. We will crush them completely." Vorquan bowed and left. He had one more duty to perform. He accessed the Imperial Intelligence Network and pulled up every file on humanity. Population, estimated at 200 billion, but actual number unknown. Many colonies refused to share data. Military, 3 defense fleets identified. Size unknown. Actual total military strength unknown. Industrial capacity. Humans built 5 new ships for everyone they lost. Production rate appeared to be increasing. Technology. Equal or superior to Imperial standard in most areas. Some weapon systems completely unknown. Vorquan stared at the words unknown appearing over and over. The Empire ruled the galaxy, but they knew almost nothing about these humans. He pulled up one more file. It was a cultural report from a spy who had visited Earth before the war started. The spy had watched human entertainment and read their history. Humans have fought wars for their entire history, the report said. They have refined warfare into an art form. Every generation improves on the last. They study their failures obsessively. They learn from every mistake. They never stop preparing for the next conflict. There was a final note at the end. Humans have a saying, "Hope for the best, prepare for the worst." We have seen their hope. We have not seen their preparation. Vorquan closed the file and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, humanity was watching and waiting. They had asked for peace twice. They had shown mercy twice. They had won twice while clearly holding back. What would happen when they stopped holding back? On Earth, Ambassador Okonkwo finally got her meeting. A minor Imperial official agreed to talk via long-range communication. She spent 3 hours explaining humanity's position. They wanted peace. They wanted trade. They wanted friendship. The official listened politely and said he would pass the message along. Then he ended the call. Okonkwo sat in her office and cried. She knew the message would never reach anyone who mattered. Admiral Reeves stood on the bridge of the Washington, now undergoing repairs. Her second officer approached with a data pad. "Admiral, new orders from Earth. The other colonies are activating their defense fleets. We're being reinforced." Reeves took the pad and read it. Then she read it again. Her hand shook slightly. "Is something wrong, ma'am?" her officer asked. Reeves looked up at him. These orders say to continue defensive posture only. We are not authorized to pursue Imperial forces into their territory. The Crithian Empire had ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years. Their ships traveled between the stars. Their armies crushed anyone who dared to resist. And their empress sat on a throne made from the minerals of 100 conquered worlds. They had seen thousands of species rise and fall. They had fought wars that lasted centuries. They had never lost. So when their scout ships found a small yellow star with a blue planet orbiting it, they expected nothing special. The planet was called Earth. The species living there called themselves humans. They had only learned to travel faster than light 600 years ago. In galactic terms, they were babies. Empress Shirakal looked at the report with her 4 eyes and made a sound that might have been laughter. Her scales glittered in the throne room light as she turned to her advisors. 600 years, she said. We have boots older than their entire space civilization. Her advisors nodded and made agreeable sounds. High Marshal Vorquan stood quietly in the corner. He was the commander of all Imperial military forces. Unlike the others, he actually read the full report. Something about it bothered him, but he could not say what. The Empire sent a message to Earth. It was simple and direct. Surrender now. Become part of the Empire. Pay tribute. Obey. Or be destroyed. On Earth, the message appeared on every screen in every language. The Unified Defense Council met in emergency session. They were leaders from every nation and colony that humanity had established. They talked for 3 days. Admiral Chen Reeves sat in her office on the moon, looking at Earth through her window. She had spent 30 years in the military. She had fought pirates and stopped rebellions. She had never fought aliens before. None of them had. Her second officer brought her a cup of coffee. The council is about to announce their decision, he said. Admiral Reeves took the coffee and nodded. She knew what the decision would be. Humanity had learned some hard lessons in its history. They had learned what happened when you gave in to bullies. They had learned that freedom was worth fighting for. The message Earth sent back was also simple. Thank you for your message. We decline your offer. We wish to remain independent. We hope we can be friends instead. Empress Shirakal broke 3 data tablets when she heard the response. Friends? She screamed. They want to be friends? Send the punishment fleet. Destroy their military bases. Kill enough of them that the rest will learn respect. High Marshal Vorquan bowed. As you command, my Empress. But as he left to prepare the fleet, he felt that strange bothering feeling again. He pulled up the report once more and read it carefully. Humans had colonies on 30 systems. They had a population of over 200 billion. Their technology was strange but advanced. They had stopped 3 asteroids from hitting their home planet. They had cured most of their diseases. They had artificial intelligence that could think and learn. But none of that was what bothered Vorquan. What bothered him was a small note at the end of the report. Human entertainment includes thousands of stories about war. They seem obsessed with conflict and strategy. Vorquan shook his head. Every species was obsessed with war. That was normal. He ordered 500 ships to Earth system. That was more than enough to handle some primitives. The Imperial fleet arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system 3 weeks later. 500 warships, each one 300 meters long, each carrying enough firepower to level a city. They moved in perfect formation toward the inner planets. Admiral Reeves watched them come. Sol Defense Fleet had only 80 ships, and most of them were smaller than the Imperial vessels. But she was not worried. She was sad. They actually came, she said quietly. They really think we're going to just roll over. Orders, Admiral? Her tactical officer asked. Send the evacuation signal. Get all civilians off Luna Base and Mars Station. Deploy the defensive platforms. And activate the drones. How many drones, ma'am? Admiral Reeves closed her eyes for a moment. All of them. The Imperial Fleet Commander was named Tharkus. He had won 17 battles in his career. He expected to win his 18th in less than an hour. His ship spread out as they approached Earth's moon. Then his sensors officer made a confused sound. Commander, I'm detecting multiple launches from the lunar surface and the asteroid belt. They're missiles? Tharkus asked. Shoot them down. Sir, there are a lot of them. Tharkus looked at his screen. His face went pale. Thousands of small objects were accelerating toward his fleet. Not missiles. Something else drones, his officer said. They're unmanned attack drones. Tharkus laughed. Drones against proper warships? This will be easier than the first wave hit. Each drone was small, barely 3 meters across, but each one moved at incredible speed and carried a shaped nuclear charge. They swarmed the Imperial ships like angry insects. The Empire's weapons blasted hundreds of drones out of space, but for every one they destroyed, 5 more came. The drones didn't care about dying. They didn't get scared. They just kept coming. Then the second wave arrived. These weren't drones. They were solid chunks of metal, some as large as cars, others as small as bullets. They had been accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed using magnetic launchers. When a piece of metal hits a ship at that speed, it doesn't matter how strong the armor is. Physics wins. The kinetic energy is devastating. Tharkus watched in horror as 3 of his ships simply exploded. Then 5 more, then 10. His formation was falling apart. "Return fire," he screamed. "Kill them all!" But there was nothing to shoot at. The drones were too small and too many. The kinetic weapons came from platforms scattered across the solar system. His ships fired at the moon, at Mars, at the asteroid belt. But the human weapons kept coming. And then the human warships arrived. They didn't look like proper military vessels. They were ugly and practical, but they moved fast and their weapons hit hard. Lasers that could slice through armor, missiles that could think and dodge. Plasma cannons that turned Imperial ships into molten metal. Admiral Reeves sat in her command chair and watched the battle with no joy on her face. "Concentrate fire on their command ship," she ordered. "Let's end this." The Sol defense fleet surrounded Tharkus's flagship. He had nowhere to run. His shields were down. His weapons were damaged. In desperation, he sent a message. "We surrender. Please, we surrender." Admiral Reeves considered for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Cease fire. Take them prisoner." By the end of the battle, not a single Imperial ship escaped. 200 were completely destroyed. 300 were captured. The rest were damaged beyond repair. The Sol defense fleet lost 6 ships and 300 personnel. High Marshal Vorquan received the news in his office. He had been right to be worried. He looked at the battle recordings. He watched how the humans fought. They used weapons from all directions. They coordinated perfectly. They adapted instantly when the Empire changed tactics. But what scared him most was something he noticed at the very end. The humans stopped firing before they needed to. They could have killed everyone but chose not to. They won easily but pretended it was difficult. The humans were holding back. Vorquan went to Empress Shirakaal and told her what happened. She threw another data tablet at his head. 500 ships, she screamed. "They destroyed 500 ships?" "Yes, my Empress." "Then we send 5,000. We send an entire sector fleet. We will crush these insects." Vorquan bowed and left. As he walked through the palace halls, he thought about the humans and their thousands of war stories. He thought about a species that spent its entertainment time thinking about conflict and strategy. He wondered if the Empire had just made a terrible mistake. On Earth, Admiral Reeves met with the Unified Defense Council. An ambassador named Dr. Sarah Okonkwo stood up to speak. "We need to try diplomacy again," she said. "We need to make them understand we don't want war." Admiral Reeves shook her head slowly. "With respect, Ambassador, I don't think they're going to listen. You saw what they did. They came to destroy us without even trying to talk first. Then we have to try harder," Okonkwo insisted. The chairman of the council looked tired. "Try, Ambassador." "Please try. But Admiral Reeves, prepare for the next attack. I suspect it's going to be much bigger." Admiral Reeves nodded. As the meeting ended, she pulled up the defense readiness reports. Sol System was just one of 30 human colonies, and they had only used local defense forces for this battle. The actual military hadn't even woken up yet.